Hello, this is an A and B conversation. I'm B,
I'm A.
and let's get into it. So, we were talking about bettering ourselves in
Oh,
general,
okay, okay.
right?
All right.
Like as far as doing self-reflection.
Self-reflecting. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
yeah,
just about to say, yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh shit. I'll be the first to admit I've been doing a lot. Just in this year alone, I've done a lot reflecting. We've only been in this second month of the year.
yeah.
Bro, what? Last year I did a lot of growing. It is different between there is a difference between growing and self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
It does correlate the same, but
Yeah,
it is two different things. Like
yeah.
last year, my growing was understanding a lot of my wrongs,
Fair enough.
as
Yeah.
as a human and as a
Mm-hmm.
man. Understanding that, hey man, a lot of things do affect other things, people and places, shit like that. And so from that growing, I started, really hitting into the fact of really self-reflecting. Like, okay, yeah, I know that sometimes I can be an ass, but why?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What causes this? What did cause whatever? Whether whatever, and just really looking at yourself in the mirror, like really looking at yourself in the mirror, not no, metaphorically or anything, like really just sitting there. Like I really did, like for a whole, like now I'm not gonna go out of there and be like hours, but I want to say at least like a good 30, maybe close to an hour, 45.
Yeah.
I really did sit in my restroom and just stared at myself.
Try to
And it did
figure
help.
it out.
It did help. I'm not condoning it, not recommending it. If you
Yeah, it's
want,
just
you do your own thing.
whatever
But I
works.
did get high,
Yeah, I mean,
and
yeah.
it helped. And I was staring. I really, like I said, I looked and I started looking, not as you would say past me, but basically past me in the sense of seeing everything. Like, okay, you've gone through this in your life. You did this in your life. You did,
Mm-hmm.
you went through this and you reacted this way. When if you could have reacted this way. I just really started seeing a lot of things, and I'm like, okay, let's work.
Yeah,
Instead of running from it, I was like,
yeah,
let's not put it off anymore. Let's work. About 29, about to be 30. I
yeah,
mean, there's not
yeah,
much left, so I'd rather sit here and figure out now. Especially with, like I said, with the mindset of wanting to have offsprings and shit like
yeah.
that. It's better to do it now than later, or
No.
while you're doing it. So
Then you just end up perpetuating the
the
cycle if
site
you don't,
exactly.
That's not that's not the way forward, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how you said, why. We keep coming back to that on our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Like
Literally.
that's it. Like we spend so much time in our lives, especially with the distractions, social media, being connected all the time to anyone at any time,
Mm-hmm.
uh, we we're hiding from asking that question, we're too scared to ask why. We're too scared to push forward and find out more of what we are. I mean, for the longest time, I thought my goal was to go traveling, and
See the
it
world. Yeah,
still
yeah,
is,
yeah.
yeah, obviously, but I was wanting to do it
Overly, like,
the wrong way, I
yeah.
guess, would be for myself, and I didn't realize that because it was maybe a different version of myself that's no longer relevant, because it was running. It really was. It was the manifestation of my subconscious wanting to run away from the pain I experienced when I was a lot younger, and I realize that now it's it's not about running. Yeah, I want to go travel. I want to
Yeah.
go see the world. I want to hit the national parks. That's something I can do, and I can
Mm-hmm.
do that at any time when I want to. It doesn't have to be my life,
Yes.
and that's something that recently I've come into self-reflection on, because back when it became an idea, I was not in a great place. Didn't know what I was doing in my life, and I was worried. I was worried all the time, and I didn't even realize I was worried all the time. I didn't even realize
Yeah.
how anxious I was.
Literally.
When you're in it, you don't see it until after the fact, and
Mm-hmm.
then you realize, I was trying to run from myself,
Yeah. Literally.
and that there's no running from yourself. You're a part of you.
You're
you
always
you're
gonna be
gonna
there.
have to be there. You can be on the other side of the world. The same problems are going to be inside of you
Because
that
you
were
are
over
you.
here. It's not, you can't escape that. And it really is realizing that and putting your foot down and starting to ask why. Well, why?
Yep.
Why
Why?
do I want to leave?
Biggest question. Why?
What am I running from? And I realized that I was running from myself. I was running from a person that no longer am.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time to move forward instead of looking back,
Yep.
you know?
Exactly. Not exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why we like with my self reflection, I realized, one of the main things that I was running from was not living up to what I can be. Not saying like, oh,
Mm,
I know I
yeah,
can be, but more of the fact of like, hey man, like I don't care. I'll sit here and say it. Little simple tasks like getting up and taking the trash out.
yeah,
I'd be honest, there was a lot of moments where I don't even do that shit.
yeah,
But
fair.
that's a self-reflecting moment. Like, hey, bro, just do it, because then
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? You get it done now. You're not worrying about it. Oh shit, I have
But
to do it now.
but those little things, it's those little things that you put off that drive the bigger
The
things
big
later.
exactly. That's
Because
what
if you
I'm
can
saying.
put off that little thing, why can't you put off the big thing? But if you stop putting off those little things, if you get out of bed, get out of your, because like my biggest issue, I got chronic depression, or I
Hmm.
did, or
No,
I,
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I still
Everybody,
do.
yeah, shit. We.
It's something that I deal with, and a lot of the times I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to shower. I don't want to
Hmm.
clean the room. But once you start forcing yourself to do those
I
things,
feel a lot better.
you do because
A lot
you're
better.
in a cleaner environment. You're in a cleaner skin. You are a better person now
All those things
because,
you are basically stressing on.
yeah, and it really doesn't take a lot
Mm-mm.
either. Like you make taking out the trash or vacuuming or cleaning up the floors to be like this big
Oh, it's like,
extreme, yeah, thing that's going to take forever to do, and then you do it, it's 5 minutes.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Now you could literally do whatever you were worried about not doing for that. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and then
Like,
you
oh, I can
move
play the
on.
game. You can just do that, and then you play the game and have no issues.
Yeah, and it's about moving forward. Even if it's a small step, it's
Hmm.
still a step forward.
Exactly.
Every journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Step.
It
Exactly.
doesn't matter if it's a small one.
But it's a step in general, and you're keeping yourself in the movement of doing it. Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
See, exactly.
And it's that self motivation. You have to motivate yourself.
Literally, yeah. You have to.
And for the longest time, I didn't see the value in that.
Mm-mm.
Like, what's the point? I'm gonna die anyway, kind of thing.
Yeah. Like yeah. 'Cause that's another thing we can talk about in one
Yeah.
thing that is prominent. Death,
Yeah.
and not in the bad way, in a good way.
Yeah.
But like with like how we're talking right now, self reflection. That also that'll also correlate with how we're saying getting uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like how we
Yeah.
said, you're gonna feel uncomfortable having to
Yeah.
do these things, but that's the
Yeah, and
yeah.
uncomfortability is a tool. You're laying in bed. You haven't showered in 2 days. You're uncomfortable with the way you smell. You're talking shit to yourself in your
Mm-hmm.
head. Oh, if someone came here right
They
now,
judge me. Yeah,
they make
yeah.
me feel like
You
shit,
get up and just
And
get it done with.
who's making you feel like shit? Nobody came. There's nobody there.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in your head. It's you doing it to yourself. And all it takes is a 10-minute shower.
Yep.
All it takes is a 5-minute vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's one step at a time, and you're in a better headspace already.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be perfect. It may not even be close to perfect.
But it's gonna give you clarity.
And if
It
you
really
work
is.
at it, you keep at it, those small things add up. A penny adds up to $1 eventually.
Exactly. Exactly. Even though we don't have the pennies no more, it's nah for real.
Yeah.
Because that's one big thing. Because besides, with the self reflection of actually seeing, your true self and everything, when you do start getting those things, you are able to actually look at yourself differently in a positive manner. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you'll look at yourself and not sit there and be like, oh, like how I have my moments, I'm like, oh, you fat ass, da da da. You don't look at it like that anymore.
Yeah.
You be like, oh, look at what I'm doing. Oh, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm gonna start working out. I'm gonna get,
Yeah.
instead of, oh, I gotta work out, man. I'm so fucking fat. You
Yeah.
be like, yeah, man, I'm gonna go take this walk real quick.
Yeah. Because you can.
Mm-hmm.
You can. You've done it. And it starts becoming easier.
Mm-hmm.
You're no longer fighting yourself trying to do things. You're just like, oh, well, I'll take out the trash. I'll vacuum real quick. It's
Mm-hmm. Over with.
no big deal.
You'll honestly probably get into one of those moments where you're sitting there like, damn, I don't have anything to do.
Yeah. And, it's about changing small habits, and like some of these habits, they come from our parents.
Yep.
They come from what we went through, or
Hmm.
experiences, bad experiences. And there those experiences, although they're a part of us, they're no longer relevant to now. We're a whole different person. We've replaced ourselves 3 4 times over since we were that person. We are a completely new being.
Hmm.
And we can't keep doing the same things we did when we were someone else.
No, you can't
And
keep yourself stagnant, like you said.
yeah,
Yeah.
stagnation is stagnation is the death of you, because once you stagnate, what's the point?
Yep.
Where are you? And then that's what keeps driving. You keep asking yourself, well, what's the point? Because I'm just sitting here. What's the point? There is one. You gotta find it. You're not gonna find it sitting there.
Yep.
You
Yep.
move forward.
It sort of goes with how the topic I wanted to talk to you in another one about patience.
Patience.
It goes
Yep.
like that. Yep.
Patience goes. Yep.
Yeah, it's
Patience
a
is
big
a good
thing.
one. Yeah. And it really is looking at yourself and
Hmm.
understanding that instead of beating yourself up about these things you don't like about yourself, realize that these are things you can change.
Hmm.
I used to have a really bad problem with grinding my teeth.
Oh yeah.
When I get anxious, I still have a really bad problem of chewing on my nails and
Yeah.
cuticles, and I'm
I was able to
working on
break
that.
that back in the day. Yeah, I was able to break that.
Yeah, I keep trying to find ways to break that, and they're
It's
like,
hard. It's hard,
put
but you
hot
work on it.
sauce on it, and
Yeah.
I'm like, bro,
You
what
don't want to eat
flavor?
more. Yeah.
Yeah,
Flavor.
trying trying to flavor them.
Barbecue.
I'm like,
Okay.
all
Shit,
right, why
man.
not? But
I
you
just.
know, with the teeth thing, I have good teeth. I literally never had a cavity, and should I floss more? Sure, but my biggest issue is I grind my teeth and I end up cracking the back ones,
Ooh,
and I started putting my tongue in between my teeth to just
right.
create a barrier,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I accidentally bite my tongue now and again, and that's kind of like a, hey, don't
Hey,
do
don't
that,
do that. All right. Yeah, exactly.
and eventually now, and then I started working on enunciating more, not not letting my teeth touch when I talk,
Oh,
and
okay.
that helps keep my teeth separate. And now when I'm just sitting there or doing whatever, I have a gap in between my teeth, so I'm not
Constantly. Yeah,
grinding.
yeah.
And
Okay.
now when something happens that like makes me anxious and I physically feel myself start biting down onto my tongue, I realize,
Hey.
oh, yeah, I realize now that I'm anxious, and you gotta realize that. Once you realize you're anxious, you can distance yourself from the anxiety in a way,
Yeah, yeah.
and you can be like, okay, why? Again,
Why?
why?
Right.
You keep coming back. We keep coming back to why, and that's the biggest question. You ask all of these things, it always comes back to why. And instead of seeing these discomforts as problems or barriers, you got to start seeing them as what they are. They're tools,
Tools. Yeah.
and they show you why if you let them.
Yeah, yeah, because that was another thing I was going to add in with self-reflection. You can't look at it as a, I'm not going to say as a negative thing because people aren't going to automatically look at it as a negative thing, but you got to look at it as also a learning experience.
It
You know what I
is.
mean? Because you're self-reflecting,
You're
you're
learning
figuring out
yourself.
exactly, and you're figuring out what can you do either better or do different to help yourself prosper in a better way. So you
Yeah,
don't look at it as, oh dang man, I have to do this. No, it's a learning experience.
yeah,
It's something new that you're learning, and it's going to help you get further.
yeah, 100%. And what I really, I guess I definitely would say dislike about our society
Hmm.
is it has like this mask. It's a mask of, oh, we all work together and society works great, but when you really break it down, it's individualism.
Hmm.
We're all forced,
One for all and all for one, or
yeah,
they try to tell us what.
whatever,
Yeah.
we're all forced into these individualistic mindsets that make us put off ourselves, because it is like we have to do these things so that we can live and
Hmm.
survive within a society that doesn't care about us. It has this mask of caring, pretending like it does, but when it comes down to it, You can get laid off after 40 years
Get nothing.
and
No,
nobody cares. Nobody's gonna look back and be like, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't have done that. No, because the moment they laid you off,
they got the new person in.
they went and started training someone else. And they don't care about you. Nobody cares about each other in
Just
this
like we were talking
society.
about
Yeah.
with the empathy.
Yeah. Because we are a species that's supposed to work together, but we're forced apart because the society drives friction. It's a very friction driven society. If you're not doing better than the guy next to you, you're not doing good enough, and that's fallacy. We're different people.
Hmm.
The guy next to me may not be as fast as I am at doing one thing, but I may not be as fast
Just
as
what he's
he
gonna
is
do.
at doing
Exactly.
something else. And it's the coalition and the of people working together that drives society, not apart, not
Hmm.
against each other.
Yeah, because you don't look at that as all whatever. You look at that as all right. He's good at that. Well, let him put that with mine as fast as that, and now we're being even faster.
Yeah,
Instead of looking
exactly.
at it like, oh man, damn,
I
I
gotta
wish I
do
could.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like no,
I
you
gotta be
working
better than
together.
him now, and it's inadequate,
Hmm.
like that's not how you move forward. You can't move forward if you're fighting each other,
Yep. Yeah, it's
you
like
know.
oh, and I'll put it in a. I'm not gonna say the messed up word, but I'll put it in simpler terms.
Uh-huh.
People use the stupid terms, but in
Yeah,
the simpler
sure.
terms, it's like two cars trying to go down a one not a one lane, but a lane that's blocked. There's only
Parked
one.
cars on
Yeah,
both
you know what I mean. There's
sides.
only
Yeah, I
one
get
way. So
what you.
instead of sitting there just going like that, why don't you just
One of them pull over, the other one
go
go
with it? No,
past.
start the
Yeah.
day. Now it's not. Now there's no hassle. Everything literally just flowed way through.
And it's working together to achieve a common goal. I need to
Hmm.
go that way, you need to
You
go
go
that
this way.
way.
Exactly.
And we do that, though. We do that in these small instances because that's what we are as a species. But we we spend so much time driven by competitiveness
Hmm.
and trying to be better than the guy next to me when we're different people. We do better at different things, and since we spend so much time driven by competitiveness in a world that's only competitive, you will not live if you're not competitive.
Yep.
You can't feed yourself if you're not competitive. You
That's so
can't
true.
put a roof over your head if you're
Support your
not
loved ones, all
competitive.
that. Yep.
It's not meant to be like that
Hmm.
because we spend so much time running for these goals, competing with other people, we lose track of who we really are.
Hmm.
And then you end up like you and me, we're almost 30, 35. We spend so much time
Trying to.
fighting,
Yep.
surviving, trying to put a roof over our heads, our loved ones' heads, to take care of the people around us.
What do
We
we really have to
we
show?
weren't taking care of
Hmm.
ourselves. We don't even know who we are at this point.
Yep. That's facts. That's the biggest of facts.
And it really is self-reflection. If you give your child
Hmm.
the chance to self-reflect,
It's
they'll
gonna
do
better. It's gonna
much
better their
better
life.
than we
Yep.
are, but
I can't even name how many times that I was told, "Oh man, get over it. Oh, just work at it. It'll get there. It'll
exactly.
get there, man.
We
Just keep
called it
doing it."
dumbass because you don't, instead of, hey, you're not, it's not going well. I
Yeah.
see that, let me
Just
help you
trying a different
figure it
path.
out,
Yeah, not even a path, but exactly like you said, let me help you this way. You know what I mean? It's not working for you this way. Well, maybe try it this way.
Yeah,
You know?
teach
Hmm.
instead of just, it's not a contest. It
It's not.
really isn't.
We all. It's not even that we need to. We are supposed to be helping each other.
Yeah, we are. As a species, we cannot, it's obvious at this point we're destroying the planet.
Yep.
We
We
don't
are.
have a lot of time left before we kill ourselves.
Hmm.
The only way forward is together, and that's
Society needs to self-reflect.
it really it
It needs
really
to
does.
self-reflect. So, like I said, don't take this as a just me and him talking. It's a whole thing. So, as y'all are listening to this, have a little moment to self-reflect.
Yeah,
Even
take
if
a
it's just a
few.
little simple thing, like we just said, like with me, taking out the trash or doing little simple things like the dishes and stuff.
Ask
We
yourself
all go
why.
through it. Why do I feel like that? What's causing me so much that I want to procrastinate this, that I can't just get this 5 to 10 minute thing done?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
why am I hurting myself?
Literally.
And that's what it is. You're hurting yourself because you're too scared to find out who you really are. Once you find that person, you'll be so much better. Like
Mhm.
I haven't found them,
Nope.
but I'm
I'm seeing
starting
bits and
to,
pieces of them. Yep,
and I'm
exactly.
slowly becoming better. I'm starting to feel better.
Like you said, I think I want to say in the last post of the first one, how like they're all looking at the big picture,
Yeah,
but you're not looking at the little brush strokes, the stuff that's bringing it together,
yeah,
and that's what you're seeing.
you got to
You're seeing
break it
little.
down
Mm-hmm.
because if you spent your whole life rushing around trying to survive, you weren't paying attention to the small things that were building you.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to break them down. You got to see what those tiny habits are that formed who you are. You got to see why you feel the way you do, what attributes to the way you're feeling. And once you can break those smaller things down, you can change them. And then you're looking at a whole different picture at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even the same painting.
So, and you're literally looking at a masterpiece,
Yeah.
and it's not that it's only yours, but it's your masterpiece. It's not a painted masterpiece by society or by your family or any,
It's
you
what
know,
you
it's
make of
what you
yourself.
exactly.
And that's the goal.
And
Like,
that's what not rewrap the house. So, sorry for cutting you off. But what's that a word? Correlate, I guess you would say if you
yeah,
said it.
yeah,
With being uncomfortable. It's a
yeah,
good thing.
it does.
It's a
Yeah.
good thing because look at what you're building. You are building a
Uncom
masterpiece.
you cannot get anywhere if you're comfortable. You keep going back to painting, right? Do you think the person who paints, Bob Ross, did he just start painting one
No,
day and now he's a master? No, that's
no.
not how that works. It takes time. It takes
hmm
being uncomfortable.
He probably went from pencil to charcoal to clay to whatever
Yeah,
it
like
is.
probably started with stick figures and ended up painting whole vistas, and it's time and it's uncomfortable and it hurts and it gives you migraines, but it's worth the effort.
Yes. Just texting real quick. Thank you.
So when we're talking that kind of effort, it's not something you're going to know where to start at. There's no starting point. Everyone's starting point's different. All you have to do is allow yourself the time and the reflection to find your starting point,
Mm-hmm.
to find your way forward. And once you have that first step, you can start that journey. And it's one step at a time. Like, you never know what that next step's going to be, but once you see it, you've got to take it.
Yep.
You can't procrastinate
You
it.
cannot procrastinate because that. Yep. You'll put yourself in. And it's funny too how we just said about being uncomfortable. You'll put yourself in an uncomfortable position that you really won't like.
Yeah, no, a lot of the times you may not like it. Now, there's a difference, okay? I'm not saying put yourself in dangerous
Yeah. No. No. No.
situations.
No. 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 No.
If you're uncomfortable in a dangerous situation,
That gut feeling. Yeah.
that
That's a different thing.
that's
Yeah.
a whole different story. You need to
Exactly.
put yourself in safe situations where you're uncomfortable so you can develop.
Yes.
Like maybe an investment opportunity pops in front of you and you're like, "Oh,
He's gonna keep going.
maybe, yeah, an investment opportunity might be uncomfortable, but it can drive you forward,
Mm-hmm.
and you may not want to put that much into it, but hey, you'll be better at the end, right? And
Yes.
I'm not just saying an investment in, land, money, whatever. I'm
Yeah. All
saying
this stuff.
yourself, you can invest in yourself, like
Whether if it's
changing
material, yeah,
habits. Yeah.
material things, habits.
Yeah.
You can literally invest in yourself to better yourself.
For the longest time, I wanted to dress a certain way, but I didn't, because I thought, oh, other people might think this or that or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. But I invested into these clothes that I've wanted to wear my whole life. And then I started wearing them, and now I feel closer to who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just that either, it's changing the habits. That's a big part of self-reflection. Like I was saying, the teeth thing for myself,
Yeah.
but it's also, like I've detoxed from social media too. That was a real hard
Good
one,
thing.
a
Good.
real hard one.
Mm-hmm.
At first it was maybe a day I'd get off of it, and then a couple days, and then I decided, you know what, if I just
I'm done.
delete it,
Yep.
it'll be, I'll have to reinstall it, and then you reinstall it and you get back on it, and you got to set yourself mental barriers, right?
Exactly.
Well, one of the barriers I set for detoxing from social media was the moment I opened a comment on something, I realized, oh, here we go, I'm going down that hole. Let me
Hmm.
delete this. And it really is, it's social media, it's not meant to progress you.
No.
It's for division. It's for fighting and becoming something you're not.
Hmm.
It's ridiculous. You sit there and you basically just yell at people. You might as well be yelling at a
At a
wall.
wall. Exactly.
Like they're not going to change their point of view because they don't see you. You're not having a conversation. These are words on a screen. This isn't a person to you.
Yep.
You might as well be talking to a wall. Like it's about that human connection. That's
That
what
really gets you.
drives
Exactly.
understanding. That's what drives
Because
comprehension.
you can feel it. People, and it's funny how we bring that too, because
Yeah.
with the empathy thing, you can feel when somebody is actually being genuine, to you, whether if it's in a learning situation or caring or anything, you can feel it when
Yeah.
somebody is genuinely being like, hey
Face to
man,
face.
I could see that you're having trouble with this, or hey man, you want to learn this? Let me teach you. You
Yeah.
can feel it when it's genuine, and a lot of people, like we were talking about with empathy, lack that
Yeah.
because of lead poisoning and whatnot.
And I mean, social media drives lack of
One of the main
empathy.
things,
It really
exactly.
does. And, I mean, it may not be the greatest thing in the world to try to break yourself of that. It's
But
gonna
it'll
be
help.
uncomfortable,
Hmm.
and
Oh, the biggest uncomfortable. We are in the era of media.
yeah, we're always saying, oh, this worked for me or whatever, don't, do what you're comfortable with. Get rid of
No,
social
get
media.
rid of it. Exactly. Like I had to talk with somebody the other day, and it's funny because when I actually broke it down for him, he really had like one of those moments like when we talked, and I'm
Yeah,
like, oh my lord, you blew
yeah,
my mind. He had one of those moments because I told him, I was like, bro, digitally, we have been given the seven sins without knowing.
yeah.
Gluttony, what is it, lust, all that is literally packaged in social media. You can see women naked instantly. You scroll a little bit more down. Food. Scroll a little bit more down. Money, fights, death. It's
Yep.
all literally packaged, and you're just seeing it so quick that your mind, you think, not even
It's
just you think,
nothing. You think
yeah,
it's
it's
not
nothing,
like to
but
you. It's
you're
nothing.
processing it so quick that it's just,
It's in you. Like
mm,
it starts ingraining itself, and then you become something you're not.
yep, literally.
It's
Now you're going off of, oh man, well this person has this, I gotta be like that, or this, and that goes right back to the self-reflecting. You are not that person.
Yeah,
You
you're
gotta be
not.
you.
You don't have the same skills.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to develop them, you can, but you're not just going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the fallacy of social media. It makes you feel like, oh, I can do this right now, because they can do it, but that's years and years and years of
Of
work.
work, nah, for real. Some
Yeah,
people took in decades. We talking about half life, almost whole life of learning and mastering whatever that was. And that right there, like how we keep going back, that's a big thing of self-reflection that those people mastered. And that's how they were able to get further because
yeah,
they realized, look, man, I know I'm really good at this. Let me sit down, really, tell myself, hey, we're going to do this. And boom, they skyrocket.
yeah,
And it's sad to say because even in the, society we live in and the pieces of
yeah,
shits that, are running them down, they did the same thing, just
yeah.
not in the form of an empathetic. Yeah,
Unempathetically,
they were
yeah,
just like, hey
there's
man, I know I
nothing.
need to do this. I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, and that's what it was. And like, honestly, a lot of this, it really does have to be self-reflection.
Hmm.
You cannot move forward if you're not willing to look at yourself and admit where you're wrong. Admit where you're making yourself
Mistakes.
uncomfortable,
Hmm.
Like if you're not willing to admit that you've made a mistake, that you're living in a way that's making you uncomfortable,
Hmm.
you're just going to continue to perpetuate it.
Hmm. It's gonna get worse. It's not
Yeah, it
always gonna get
never
worse.
gets
It'll get
better.
worse.
It never gets better unless you're willing to self reflect. And that's how we end up with people, hoarding money, destroying our country, blowing up other countries just because,
Literally, oh Lord.
like we don't need that
No.
anymore. Like we're not cavemen.
Nope.
We're not barbarians anymore. Like, what are we doing? We're living like we're in the fucking 1300s still, and we're not.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, like we've progressed. We
far.
have a lot, and we gotta both give ourselves the credit of that and realize where we're messing up and actually make a difference to it. And that is the point of self-reflection,
Yeah,
you know?
biggest thing, self-reflection.
Well, yeah,
And like one of the biggest things that I've seen with my own self-reflection is, like how we were saying with the uncomfortableness,
yeah,
is I noticed that um it enlightens you.
it does.
It
Yeah,
enlightens you in a way to where you feel, body, mind, and soul lighter.
yeah,
Like one of my big self-reflections, besides like I was telling you, is anger.
yeah.
That's gonna probably be one of our talks. But I was always angry all the time
Hmm.
at everything,
Yeah,
no
I
matter
get that.
what it was. I was something little off. Why is it happening to me? Bullshit.
Yeah, yeah,
Or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Relationships, anything. I always was just so quick to get angry. And in my self-reflect moment, I sat there and I realized, I was like, you know what? Why am I getting so angry so fast?
why?
Why? I went down that rabbit hole of why I'm getting so angry at it. I got down to that rabbit hole and I was like, okay, well, I get so angry because, you know, I wasn't given a true, not as you would say childhood, but in the fact of like mother and father.
Yeah,
I mean, my
yeah,
dad, whatever
yeah,
left.
yeah.
So I'm like,
I
okay,
know
well,
that one.
why does that kid get to have, what I want,
Yeah,
So I use that as a driving tool to be like, well, I'm gonna be mad, you know,
competition.
literally, and that escalated from that. That got blinded and covered, coded, so I wouldn't use that as an excuse to, oh well, that pissed me off.
Yeah,
Why did it piss me off?
yeah.
So I just kept having barriers of why, and when I finally broke them all down, that was the main thing was, oh okay, so you felt like you were, what's the word? I'm trying to find the word. You felt like I felt like I was, how do you say,
Wronged.
expected it. Like
Oh, oh,
like it was
expected it.
expected. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
right. Okay,
well,
I get you.
if they have it, why don't I have it?
Yeah,
I should have it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And you can't live life like that because, like I said, look at how it
Competition
does.
again. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's unempathetic competition
Mm-hmm.
because, like, yeah, they may have a mother and a father, but did
Is their life good at home?
yeah, did they treat them well, and like maybe they didn't, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't know that, but you're going
Off of
from
what you're seeing,
on what you're
and
seeing,
like
and
that saying they say, can't judge a book on its cover. You
yeah,
really
you
can't.
really can't. No, you've got to move forward. You cannot compare yourself to others. You
Mm-hmm.
can't. You are a separate person. You again, like we said before, it's that baby's not different than that baby, but the life
Is
experiences
different,
is what
exactly.
changes you and turns you into who you are. And you're not the same person as the
Mm-mm.
person next to you. But that does not mean you're better or less or more or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. It just means you're different.
Going through life, at your steps, and they're going through their life at their steps. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it is the same life,
Yeah.
yes, but it is different.
And you're always seeing how this other person has progressed, right? You see how they progress, but you're not giving yourself the credit of how you did because
Hmm.
you progress just as much but in a different way.
And you're not seeing that. Yeah, you're
And
seeing
you're
it as the fact of, oh, well, they did that, they did
yeah,
that. Why didn't?
they're further than I am in this particular field. Why can't I be there? Because you had to progress you progress differently in a different field.
Mm-hmm.
You want to progress in that one, that's fine. You can start, but you can't compare.
Mm-hmm. You can't.
Comparison is fallacy.
Once
It
you get to that
hurts.
point, not even get to that point, but once you have that mindset of start comparing, that's when you already know you're going down to that hill. 'Cause it's like,
Yep.
oh, well, now I got this in my mind. Oh, well, now all this and this. So
I have
you
to be
can't do that.
better. I got it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go competition. And that's what our society pushes. It's pushing
Competition.
competition
Yep.
because they want you to be blind to the struggles of the other person. They want you to be unempathetic.
Mm-hmm.
They just want you to see what they achieved, but they don't show you everything in between that
Nope.
achievement,
Mm-hmm.
you
All
know?
the hardships, everything.
Yeah.
They don't see none of that.
Yeah, and they don't want you to.
Nope.
And I feel like that's one of the biggest issues we need to get past, right? We need to be able to talk about our problems, about our the hard things
You need
that
to be
that
able to
have
get
gone through.
uncomfortable.
Yeah,
You
get
need to be
uncomfortable,
uncomfortable.
exactly. And we're so, as a society, surrounded by comfort that we are able to avoid it. We
Yep.
can avoid discomfort for so long that we end up not the person we're supposed to. We end up being that 78-year-old working at Walmart,
Hmm.
and like,
Has
I don't
the
want to,
1,000 yard stare of just standing there, and
just
they're like,
gone.
wow.
Like, that's just gone. Like, no
Hmm.
soul, no
No nothing,
anything left,
literally, yeah,
just
no
beaten
nothing.
and gone, because there was that 25, 30-year old who could have self-reflected,
Hmm.
who could have
Better
talked to
themselves.
somebody.
Hmm.
Instead, they spent a whole time, their whole life competing in a system that didn't give a shit about them.
Yep.
And then it spit them out. And now,
You have
what
nothing.
do I have?
You're
So
sitting there wondering why me the whole time you're doing that, and then now when there really isn't anything,
you're
why
just
is it?
left with you, and
Hmm.
you're nothing anymore. You're not there. You're just gone
Hmm.
because you've gotten rid of it over the years, gotten rid of you for the betterment of
Others that it doesn't even benefit, and it's
that it
not in the
doesn't
fact of,
benefit
yeah.
them either,
Don't take that as, oh, it's not good to help others. No, yes, but in
No,
the fact of how we're speaking,
like
and
pushing that
yeah, you
that
know what I mean.
competitiveness, like you're pushing your own competitiveness to better yourselves on someone else's behalf,
Yes, literally.
and it's not that you should be bettering yourself on your own behalf and helping others, yes, but there's a difference between helping someone and
Yeah,
competing
like
with
killing
somebody.
yourself for a company that's already making millions, or
Yeah.
you're killing yourself and stressing yourself out because you're not getting whatever, whatever. They're still gonna make their million.
And then you have everyone, and we talk like this, right? About companies and how they don't care. And then you get, the older generations going, "Oh, you're just lazy."
Oh,
No, I'm not
we
lazy. I'm
understand. We
tired
see.
of killing myself for someone who doesn't give a shit about me. Like,
Exactly.
you're gonna sit there and let someone beat the shit out of you every day for, like, it's mental. It's
No,
mental
it
abuse.
literally
You're
is.
being abused mentally every day of your life, and you're like, "Oh, I'm a big strong man because I can take it." Like, why? Why
Why?
should you?
Exactly. Yeah, like
Why do you have to take
um
that?
one of our friends that we know,
Yeah.
his father actually went through that. He worked, his whole the however long the retirement plan is. I think it's what 40 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
did the whole thing just for them to deliberately fire him a week prior to his stuff, to where he lost all of his benefits, all that. Now look at him, still having to work, still having to do all this and that
For a
when he
different
should have been.
company doing the same thing.
Exactly, when he should have been. He gave his life, he did everything, got
You're
up and been a
supposed
man.
to do,
Yeah.
quote unquote,
And but
supposed to
what did it
do
really do in the end?
nothing.
Nothing.
You have nothing, nothing to show for it
Hmm.
because you weren't building yourself up. You weren't building anything for
Nope, you
yourself.
were just literally
You were
handing it to the
building
company.
somebody else's
Hmm.
life, and that's it's not laziness because I'm not a
No,
lazy person.
no,
I built my own house. Like
literally,
I
hand in
hand
hand.
built this myself. And I've raised my sisters. I've worked 3 jobs. I've
Hmm.
gone through that shit. And it's not being lazy, it's realizing your self-worth.
Yes,
You need to realize that you are worth more than this company trying to utilize
yes.
you.
Now for the
Because
people, sorry for cutting you off. Now for the people that are trying to take, they're gonna probably gonna take that out of proportion. Understand your worth in the fact of a self-reflection moment, not a,
yes,
oh, I know I'm better than this.
yeah,
No, do not
exactly.
have that mindset.
Yeah, we're not talking about self-worth like as you would talk about how much money's worth or
Yes,
something
yes.
like that. That's no,
We're talking
self-worth
about
is
as an
give
actual.
Yeah, it's part of you.
Hmm.
You have to care about yourself. It's about caring about yourself. It's not being more or less or, better than. It's giving yourself the benefit of caring.
Yep.
You need to care about yourself and have that self-worth to realize that, oh, I'm in a place doing something for someone who doesn't care about me. They don't care what I'm doing, and taking that and going forward with it. Put yourself in situations where people do care about you. Put yourself in situations where, you're bettering yourself, you're moving forward instead of circling the drain
Yep.
every single day because that's all it is. You're just circling the drain, waiting for your own
Yep.
demise.
Mhm.
Like I'm not here to wait for death. I'm here to live.
Oh,
Like we
until
all
death parts.
die. Yeah,
Yes.
we all die at
The
the
only
end.
thing promised in life. The
You know,
only thing.
when I was younger, I tried to kill myself 16 times, and it was I didn't realize that that wasn't me trying to do that. That was me
Running
escapism
away. Yeah,
again. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a
It's like,
type of
yeah,
it's a type of escaping,
I know this could be the quickest way I can get rid of it. So
you
that,
know?
yeah.
And
That's where it goes to the being uncomfortable. You
yeah,
need to be uncomfortable to not
yeah,
be in those moments.
exactly. And I had this one revelation after I tried again. I ended up kind of having a breakdown and I went walking. I walked like 20 something miles and I just kept walking and walking and looking for a nice tree, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then it hit me. Well, I'm gonna die anyway, right? Might as well see what happens.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was my driving factor after that. I never tried again
Yeah,
after
why
that.
rush it? Yeah.
Like it's gonna happen. Might as well see what happens on the in between, like
Exactly.
why
Exactly.
rush that? It's
The whole
it's
time
a
you're
fact
drifting
of
in that
life.
moment, it could be better in literally a couple of months.
Yeah, and you don't know that. You've got to give yourself the time,
Hmm.
and it can get better.
It always does. A
Yeah,
lot
it
of people
does.
fail to realize that, yes, yes, it can always be bad. You can go through hard times, but at the end of the day, to a point, it will get better.
It really will, and you have to it's not going to be comfortable. It's
No,
not
no.
supposed to be
Mm-mm.
comfortable, but you take that comfortability and see why.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, why am I uncomfortable? Why am I feeling
It's
like
funny
this?
how we said that too, because after I had my self like recollection of forgot the word self reflection
Yeah,
of myself, I went to go hang out with some of the homies,
yeah,
and we had a more of a not a self reflection of them like of us together, but more of like a I guess a group self reflection of
mm,
seeing like um like a lot of us have those moments of like, oh man, this is it, we're over with, and then just for us to literally laugh about it and talk about it later. Like, oh
yeah.
man, I remember when it was like that. He's like, yeah, man, because it doesn't always stay bad.
It
It gets
really
better.
doesn't. No.
We dread on so much, whether if it's actual serious situations of things to where little things, and we're so on it at that moment, like, oh man, it's my life. It's da-da-da-da. And boom, now look at it.
Yeah,
You're a week, a month, year past of whatever that moment was, and now look at you.
yeah,
You're happy. You're in a better position of what you were then. Like I have to tell myself that all the times when I do have my moments of where I'm like, oh man, damn, what do I really have to show for my life? And then I look, well, what do I have? I mean, I have, a cool girlfriend. I have two cars. I would have never thought I was able to get two
yeah.
cars.
And
You know
hell,
what I
even
mean?
one,
That's what I'm
you
saying. You
know,
know what I
like,
mean? Like I really sit back and reflect. Like, oh look, you're trying to bring negativity into your own
yeah,
headspace, and you can't do that.
exactly. You can't. You've got to drive it out. Like there's a difference between negativity and uncomfortability. And you've got to drive out the negativity.
Hmm.
Like for the longest time up until real recently, because of all my self-reflection, I had this about a month or so ago, I had this panic attack, worst one I've had in years, and I cried for 3 hours after that, bawled
Damn.
my eyes out like a fucking baby, and I didn't even know
Why? Yeah.
why it happened. Like I still don't know what triggered it initially, but what happened was I went to sleep. I woke up the next day, something was different, right? I didn't know what it was. Next day, same thing. The third day, I realized what it was. I'm no longer talking shit to myself in my own head. And like
Hmm.
the crazy thing about that is, throughout your whole life when you're younger, people are always saying, "Oh, you got to be more positive. You got to, you can't always be negative."
Negative. Yep.
But you're in your head, you're like, "Nah, you don't know
Yeah.
me.
You
I'm
don't know what
built
I'm going through.
different.
Yeah.
I'm a
Exactly.
different person. I
We all think we
my
Superman.
life's harder. My life's more difficult. I'm more, I need to be negative because if I'm positive,
I always
I'm
get
a
bad
rube.
stuff.
I'll
Yep.
be a rube. Someone will get over on me.
Hmm.
And there's a difference, man. You can be positive and intelligence with your positivity.
Yep.
You're not gonna get one over on you if you're positive.
No.
It's about giving yourself the chance and giving yourself the ability to be positive towards yourself and your situations, you
Yep.
know? Because if every situation is under the guise of negativity, through a shade of negative, it's gonna end up feeling negative. You're always gonna feel negative.
Yep.
But if you're able to flip that, it,
But
it's
feeling
it's
is
forward.
crazy.
It really is, man. Like it's night and day. It really is a change of perspective, and it's forward.
Mm-hmm.
You have a future now, and
Mm-hmm. You give
that's
yourself
what it.
purpose.
Yes, and you're driving yourself because, like, look, if you look at it this way, if you're sitting there, even oh, you do something and you screw it up, you're like, ah, I'm stupid, that kind of thing. You may not feel like you mean it, but subconsciously that's getting ingrained in you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do that every single day. You call yourself stupid. You call yourself, a dumb piece of shit, or,
It beats you
shit
down,
like
man. It
that,
beats you down.
and you feel like it.
It's a
You
mental
feel
erosion.
like a stupid, dumb piece of shit because that's what you're turning yourself into.
Yep.
But if you're able to, even in small amounts, because like I started in very small amounts, just you mess up, you're like, okay, yeah, I can try
I could
again,
do a little better. Yeah. Let
and
me give
that's
myself a
just
break and come back to
yeah,
it.
exactly. Just small things, maybe, you instead of calling yourself a piece of shit, just be like, ah, man, well, I guess I just don't know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
you,
Give yourself the benefit of the doubt.
yeah, exactly. And something that really correlated with me, and like that one saying, treat others the way you want to be treated,
Yes.
right? It goes both
Yep.
ways. You've got to treat yourself the way
The
you
way.
treat others.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you treat others like a piece of shit, then you're
Then of
probably
course,
just a
yeah, you're a
piece of
piece of
shit,
shit.
bro.
No.
Uh,
But yeah, genuinely, yeah, you're right. Genuinely,
you know, think I started thinking to myself, well, if my friend was going through this, what would I do for him? Instead of
that's a good perspective. I like that.
being like like if you're helping your friend work on a car and like he drops something, you're not gonna be like, ah, you dumb piece of shit, why'd you drop that? So you'd be like, hey man, can
You need
let's
some help
get
with
that,
that? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
let me help you out,
Mm-hmm.
let's get this done. So you got to start doing that for yourself. Treat yourself like a friend,
Exactly.
like see it like that. If you have to sit there and go, every time something happens, take a breath, stop,
Yeah, breathe. Literally,
breathe,
breathe.
just take a breath,
That's
right?
my biggest saying right now. It's so crazy.
Breathe, man. Yeah,
Breathe.
for me too,
Breathe.
man. Like back when like anxiety like had the full control of me, like the first step was breathe. Like
Breathe.
that's
Yep.
it. Like stop thinking. Like you
Just
have to shut it off. Just
yep.
shut it
Literally,
off and
literally
just
thinking
just
everything. Just
breathe. If you're breathe, be like, okay, am I breathing? Yes. Am I alive? Yes. Okay, then we can keep going.
mm-hmm.
And that's what it is, And like I said, you have to treat yourself like a friend. If you
Yep.
have to stop, take a breath, and be like, hey, if my friend was going through this, think of your friend. Envision your friend
Yep.
if you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Envision your friend going through this, and then be like, how would I help him?
Approach it. Yeah.
And then help
Exactly.
yourself in that manner instead of beating yourself up because you're not going to beat your friend up.
Nope.
You're going to try to help them.
Yep. You're gonna try to get them out of that dark spell.
So treat yourself like a friend.
And that's another moment of self-reflection. Seeing how,
Exactly.
like, oh, okay, and now you just benefited it from that self-reflection you just learned to where now it's not just yourself that you just help, it's others.
Yeah.
So now if you ever see a person, whether if it's your friend or even a random person, you see them and be like, hey, I know that.
Yeah, I
Let me
can
go and
help
help.
them.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
because it really is. You give yourself the benefit of the doubt. You have to. If you keep beating yourself up, you're just going to be beating a dead horse
Yep,
eventually.
yep. Yeah, like I had said, it's like a mental, what is it? What's that word? It's like a mental erosion.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's just a littlest thing or whatever, you keep doing it, it's gonna wither it down to nothing.
Yeah, eventually. It'll just as one step at a time get you to a better mind.
Mm-hmm.
One step in the negative direction at a
Just
time
keep
gets you
going.
in the opposite direction,
And
man.
it's
And
not
it
good. It's
really
not
isn't.
good.
It really isn't.
Really good to self-reflect.
It
Really good to
really is,
self-reflect.
yeah.
Don't ever feel bad to sit down with yourself and say
Ask
that you're
yourself
wrong.
why.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and say that and admit it. Admit
Hmm.
when you're wrong. Ask yourself why you were wrong.
If you take anything from this podcast, is it's okay to be uncomfortable.
It is. It
It is
really
okay to
is.
be uncomfortable.
It's okay to be wrong.
Yes, yes. The biggest thing, please, thank you. Listen to this man say it one more time.
It is okay to be wrong.
There,
It's okay
yeah,
to make mistakes.
yes, we are humans.
Yeah, we're
We are
not
humans.
perfect. If everyone was perfect, the world would be a very
It's a
boring
different place
place.
now,
It'd
for
be
real.
boring as hell, man. Like
There'd be no wrong, no right. Just
you're just
just
sitting around like, what are we doing? Nothing.
all right. Well,
Well,
it looks like this was an A and B conversation. I'm A,
I'm B.
and we'll see you next time.